What if one lap just rewrote the entire pecking order before the season even began? The stopwatch doesn't deal in opinions, and when that timer stopped, the numbers delivered a real Paddock shock. A nearly 1 second lap time gap in modern Formula One is not just fast, it's a statement, the kind that makes engineers stare at data screens a little longer, and rivals quietly wonder where that raw pace came from. Suddenly, the benchmark moved, and nobody outside the red garage seems completely sure how. Is this a glimpse of the true performance ceiling, or just a testing illusion created by fuel loads and engine modes? That's the mystery everyone is trying to solve right now. And when you look closer at where that shock came from, everything points to one moment, one ultimate lap that made the entire grid sit up. It was Charles Leclerc putting the Ferrari exactly where it needed to be, threading every corner inside the perfect grip window and stopping the clock at a stunning 1 minute 31.9. In today's Formula One, where margins are usually measured in hundredths, not tenths, that number instantly became the new benchmark. When the timing sheets updated, the gap told the real story. Lando Norris, one of the quickest drivers on the grid, was the closest, but still a long way back. And Max Verstappen, a driver known for extracting peak performance from any car, was even further behind. A near-second difference might not sound huge outside motorsport, but in Formula One it's enormous, the kind of advantage that usually only appears when one car has found something special. Every sector time showed the same picture: strong entry speed, stable mid-corner balance, and relentless acceleration on exit. It wasn't just fast in one place, it was fast everywhere. The kind of lap that feels less like a good run and more like a statement of intent about what this car might really be capable of. Of course, the first reaction many people have is to say it's only testing. And that's a fair point because teams are never showing the full picture at this stage. Fuel loads can be heavier or lighter. Engine modes can be turned down for reliability, and tyre compounds can change the grip level by several tenths on their own. All of those factors can shape a lap time, and that's why testing results are usually treated with caution. But even with those variables in play, the size of this gap is what keeps raising eyebrows across the paddock. When a car shows not just a quick headline lap, but strong pace over longer runs as well, it suggests something deeper than a single lucky attempt. The difference here wasn't only about one clean lap, it was about the way the car repeated that speed, run after run, showing impressive consistency and very controlled tyre degradation. That kind of performance creates strong data correlation between what engineers expect on their screens and what actually happens on track. And when those two things match, it's often a sign that the speed is very real. And that's where the story becomes even more interesting. Because in Formula One, the real truth usually shows up over longer runs, not just in one perfect moment. When the car settled into race simulations, the speed didn't fade away. It stayed strong lap after lap, which is exactly what teams look for when judging real race pace. The way the car handled tyre management was especially telling, with the lap times staying stable instead of dropping off quickly as the rubber wore down. That points to strong thermal efficiency, meaning the car can keep its tyres in the right temperature range without overheating them, even in long stints. Engineers pay close attention to the stint average because it shows how a car will behave on Sunday, not just Saturday. And when a car can deliver sustained speed while keeping degradation under control, it usually means the performance is built on solid foundations rather than a short burst of peak grip. That's why these longer runs often say far more about true competitiveness than any single headline lap ever could. The speed on the track didn't go unnoticed, and across the paddock, reactions started pouring in from every corner. George Russell was one of the first to comment, openly speculating about the car's setup and hinting that Ferrari might be running higher gears than everyone else, which would give them a clever edge in traction and acceleration. Engineers and team principals were equally intrigued, studying every sector time, comparing tyre wear patterns, and analysing how energy deployment through the hybrid system could be making a difference. In these new cars, the way electrical energy is released mid-lap can have a massive impact on lap time, helping with acceleration out of corners or stabilising the car through tricky sections. Everyone on the grid started to realise that Ferrari's advantage wasn't just raw engine power or driver skill, it was the way the car delivered that power at exactly the right moments. This kind of hybrid boost, combined with perfect traction phases and precise drivability, can make the car feel almost effortless on the limit, even when rivals are struggling to keep up. And as the engineers whispered over telemetry and data screens, the question on everyone's mind was the same. How much of this is driver talent, and how much is a car that has unlocked a new level of performance that no one else can touch yet? It was clear the entire paddock was being forced to rethink what they thought they knew about the pecking order. What really set Ferrari apart became obvious when you started looking under the surface, because this wasn't just a fast car by chance, it was a machine built with purpose and innovation at every level. On the aerodynamic side, the rear wing was a masterpiece of clever thinking. Most teams use active aero to balance downforce and reduce drag on the straights, but Ferrari took it to an extreme no one else dared to try. Their upper rear wing element doesn't just flatten out, it rotates almost completely upside down, changing the airflow in a way that slashes drag far more aggressively than conventional designs. That means on the long straights, the car slices through the air with less resistance. But in the corners, it can still generate the downforce needed to stick to the track. Every curve of the airflow has been carefully managed, and the effect is a perfect balance between straight-line speed and cornering grip, giving the car an efficiency that rivals can only dream of. Then there's the power unit, where Ferrari made a bold but clever choice with a smaller turbocharger. A smaller turbo spins up faster, producing boost earlier and giving better torque delivery through the lower gears. This means throttle response is sharper, acceleration feels more immediate, and the car jumps off the line with incredible speed. In practice starts, the difference was obvious. Ferrari could surge ahead almost before other teams even got their tyres fully working. The boost curve is perfectly matched to the car's gear ratios, allowing it to use the engine's full power in the places that matter most. It's not just about raw horsepower, it's about how efficiently that power is applied. And in modern F1, that efficiency is often the difference between first and fifth. When you combine the extreme aero with a smarter, faster spooling turbo, the car suddenly feels like it has an extra gear, an invisible advantage that shows up on the timing screens and on track in every corner, every straight, and every acceleration zone. Ferrari didn't just make a fast car, they designed a car that uses every system in harmony, turning innovation into raw lap time that rivals struggle to match. All of this speed and innovation didn't come out of nowhere. Behind it was a calculated gamble by Vasseur, the man in charge at Ferrari. Early in 2025, he made a bold decision to stop developing the current car and pour every resource into the 2026 project. That meant abandoning improvements, ignoring small fixes, and essentially sacrificing an entire season of potential wins. It was a risky move that left the team vulnerable in the short term, but the payoff was clear. By focusing all their wind tunnel time, design philosophy, and engineering efforts on the new regulations, Ferrari gave themselves the chance to start the season with a car that was not just competitive, but in a class of its own. Every detail, from the aero to the power unit, benefited from months of uninterrupted development. What looks like raw speed on track is really the result of that strategic planning, careful development cycle, and willingness to accept short-term pain for long-term gain. It explains why Leclerc's lap wasn't just fast. It was the culmination of a season-long vision executed perfectly. Of course, as impressive as Ferrari's pace looked, not everyone in the paddock is ready to declare them the fastest outright. Teams like Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren are known for their strategic approach to testing, often holding back just enough to hide their true performance. This sandbagging can make gaps on the timing sheets look bigger than they really are, and it's a common tactic to protect development secrets until the season starts. That means the incredible lap we saw from Leclerc may not tell the whole story. The competitive delta could shrink once everyone runs in full race simulations with optimal setups. Even so, the consistency Ferrari showed during long runs, combined with the technical innovations and precise deployment of energy through the hybrid system, suggests that their advantage is not entirely a mirage. While it's possible, other teams have more hidden pace. What we saw in Bahrain gives a clear signal. Ferrari is at least ahead of the curve and forcing rivals to rethink their strategies. The timing sheets, telemetry, and sector analyses all point to a car that is genuinely competitive. And while the final verdict will only come when the lights go out at Melbourne, the performance on display was enough to shake up assumptions about the pecking order. The big question now is whether all that speed in Bahrain will actually translate to the season opener at the Australian Grand Prix on the Albert Park circuit. Albert Park is a very different challenge from the wide, flowing Bahrain circuit. The track has shorter straights, tighter corners, and tricky braking zones that punish even the smallest mistakes. Overtaking is harder here, which means track position will be more important than ever. That makes Ferrari's advantage off the line and in starts even more critical, because gaining a position early could set the tone for the entire race. At the same time, the car's ability to manage traction exits and maintain consistent pace through corners will be tested in a way that Bahrain didn't fully reveal. Track evolution over the race weekend will also play a role, with the asphalt gripping up differently each day. While the SF26's innovations give it a clear edge on paper, how all that translates to the real-world conditions of Melbourne will be the ultimate test of whether Ferrari's dominance in testing can hold up when it really counts. What we can say for certain is that Ferrari is fast, blisteringly fast, and the SF26 has shown a level of performance that no other team has managed to match so far. Yet, even with that speed on display, the true pecking order of the championship is still anyone's guess. Mercedes, Red Bull and McLaren all have their secrets, and the way they will respond over the next few weeks could completely reshape the battle for the title. What Bahrain has done is set the stage for a season full of tension, strategy and wheel-to-wheel combat, where every advantage will matter. Leclerc's lap was a statement, a glimpse of what might be possible, but the story is far from over. The question hanging over the paddock, the fans, and every rival team is simple but thrilling. Can Ferrari turn this testing dominance into a real championship fight, or will the others find the missing pieces to challenge them when it really counts?